Hello and welcome to Cinema Boston. I am your host, David, and the real World Cup is well into their knockout round, so Cinema Boston better get going. Our first episode in this series featured the group stage, where each of the 12 groups of 4 was whittled down to either 3 or 2 countries and films, following the World Cup model. A reminder that we are not deciding this World Cup of film with a country's body of work, which we did the first time we tried this 4 years ago. Instead, we will base each matchup on the most recent film I've seen from that country. So the hopes of an entire nation will be resting on one movie. As expected, 3 countries so far, South Africa, Canada, and the United States, have had their group stage films replaced already. Some for the better, some for the worse, but that's the way things go when you make up your own rules of engagement. This entire enterprise is, of course, preposterous. Movies can be so completely different, so it's definitely an apple versus orange debate. Toy Story versus Eraserhead. Which moves on? How can you compare those? How about John Wick versus Schindler's List? Where do you start? Same thing with The Devil and Daniel Webster and The Devil and Miss Jones. Right, Chet? So this is all admittedly done in an arbitrary and capricious manner. 16 matchups for you today, and 3 of our cinematic pairings mirrored the actual matchups on the pitch, which was fun. And for that to happen, the group stage winners had to mirror ours. We'll see if art mirrors soccer. There's 3 of those matchups, and I'll let you know which ones there are. This is our second of 3 episodes in this series, as our next one will go through the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals, so stay tuned for that one. Here we go. Cinema Boston's World Cup of Film knockout round. Czechia with Spaceman versus New Zealand, The Quiet Earth. That's the Adam Sandler and the Alien Spider. That's Spaceman. And then Quiet Earth, a dystopian sci-fi about a scientist alone in the world. Kicking off with the battle of sci-fi movies. And in the 39 years between the making of The Quiet Earth and Spaceman, sci-fi movies got a little better. The Czechs advance. Switzerland and So Torn. The seamstress makes that age-old movie mistake of picking up that briefcase of money at the crime scene versus Jordan, which is Thebe from 2014, coming-of-age story of a young Bedouin boy during World War I. We loved So Torn so much that the poor little Bedouin boy didn't have a chance. Switzerland moves on. Next, Brazil with The Secret Agent, 4-time Oscar nominee. In 1977, Brazil, a technology expert is forced into hiding, versus Tunisia, The Voice of Hind Rajab, 2025, Oscar-nominated docudrama about a 6-year-old girl's calls for help, pleading for rescue while under IDF fire. So we have Oscar nominee versus Oscar nominee, so this was a difficult matchup. It goes to extra time, but Brazil and The Secret Agent will advance. Next, the United States versus Haiti. Haiti, When the Drum is Beating from 2011, music documentary about a 20-member band who's been making music for 62 years. The United States, as I mentioned, has had their representing film since the group stage replaced 3 times, and it ended up Sharknado 4, The Fourth Awakens from 2016. How many B and C list celebrities can you cram into the same movie? The answer is a lot. So the film representing the United States, as I said, changed several times over the course of this project. And when the wheel stopped spinning, it landed on a Sharknado movie. I'm in the process of watching all of them in 2 days, and I'm not going to say they're good, but they are growing on me. The United States advances, even though they were playing a man down cinematically. Next, Ecuador with 2004's Maria Full of Grace, Oscar nominee, story of a pregnant teenage drug mule, versus Australia with Thrash, 2026, shark movie with some very questionable marine science. At work last week, Courtney turned to me and said, "I watched the worst shark movie last night." And I immediately responded, "Was it Thrash?" She was stunned. I was not. Ecuador moves on. Next, Netherlands with Amsterdam, the serial killer working the canals of Amsterdam, versus Scotland, Dog Soldiers. That's the one with Scottish werewolves. Unlike the real Dutch team, this Netherlands and Amsterdam advance. Egypt and the Square from 2013, Oscar-nominated satire about a controversial art exhibit, versus Senegal and Sembene, 2015, documentary about African freedom fighter Osami Sembene, whose weapons were his stories. I keep mentioning a disturbing sequence in the Square, and since it's moving on, I may tell you about that next time. Our next matchup is Saudi Arabia and Argentina. Al-Khalat Plus, Saudi Arabia from 2022, anthology film about social deception and trickery, versus Argentina 1985, made in 2022, Oscar nominee, about lawyers taking on the country's military dictatorship. There was something about Al-Khalat Plus that boosts it past Argentina's political thriller. Saudi Arabia advances. That's an upset. Next, Norway versus Sweden, little Scandinavian to-do. Sentimental Value 2025, Oscar winner. International feature film about family, movies, and art, versus Sweden's Trouble from 2024. Actioner with a wrongfully accused man being mistaken for a pilot. Swedish action comedy, no match for an Oscar winner. Norway and Sentimental Value move on. Next, Algeria in Days of Glory 2006. 4 North African men enlist in the French army during World War II, versus Uruguay. Blanes Esquina Muller. A man moves in with his new girlfriend and then visited by his future self, warning him about her. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm also still wishing this Uruguayan fantasy was real. Uruguay advances. Colombia, Bad Lucky Goat 2017. 2 incompatible teen siblings need to fix things when they accidentally kill a bearded goat with their father's truck, versus Cape Verde, Cabralista from 2011, documentary about political activist Amilcar Cabral. It was once part of the Best of the Month episode, so the Bad Lucky Goat and Colombia will move on. England versus Democratic Republic of Congo, which happened in real life as well. Our cinematic matchup was A Night to Remember from 1958. It's the Titanic story as experienced by surviving crew and passengers 39 years before Cameron. And Congo, Brenda Belili from 2010, another music documentary, this one about paraplegic street musicians. A Night to Remember just made last month's best list, and it and England edges DR Congo to advance. England also won the soccer match. Next, South Africa versus Canada, which also happened on the pitch. South Africa, They Will Kill You, 2026, the Flaming Axe movie we just talked about in our Best and Worst of June episode, versus Canada's Undertone from 2026, a young woman caring for her comatose mother starts experiencing strange things in the house. Now, this was the best matchup of this round. Both South Africa and Canada saw their movies replaced after the group stage by movies I loved. They Will Kill You made last month's best list, and Undertone will be making July's best list. This one went to penalty kicks before Canada and Undertone pulled it out, and Canada also won the soccer match. Next up, Paraguay and Landfill Harmonic from 2015, music documentary about the recycled orchestra who makes instruments out of recycled trash, versus Iran, Our Uniform 2023, Oscar-nominated animated short about a young girl and her school uniform. This was another difficult decision, but Paraguay's Landfill Harmonic will be advancing. Next, this is a biggie. Too bad this didn't happen on the field. Germany versus France. Germany, Brick 2025, another creepy apartment building movie. This one, the building is suddenly surrounded by mysterious brick wall. And France's All the Boys Are Called Patrick from 1959. And that was 21 minutes of Godard with 2 college girls getting hit on by the same guy named Patrick on the same day. This was not a difficult decision. Brick was absurd and Godard is not, unless he wanted to be. And next we have, and it's our last matchup, and it's the third matchup that actually happened on the field. It's Portugal versus Croatia. Portugal, Ice Merchants from 2022, Oscar-nominated animated short about a man and his son parachuting off a cliff every day to sell the ice that they produce. And Croatia's The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent from 2024 Oscar-nominated live-action short where a passenger train is stopped by paramilitary forces during an ethnic cleansing operation. Another battle of Oscar nominees, both shorts, a tough call, but we're going to go with Portugal and Ice Merchants. And Portugal also won the soccer match. So the three matchups that appeared in our Cinematic World Cup and in the Real World Cup, same results for those three matchups. Go figure. Well, that is a wrap for the knockout round of Cinema Boston's World Cup of Film. Only 16 films and countries remain, and our final episode in this series will crown our champion. We hope you return for that and enjoy the soccer. And until then, take care.